We're here in the hallway at North School about to enter Mrs. Kent's kindergarten classroom.
Today they just started the one-on-one with teacher and student, and they're about to do it in every other school. So let's go take a look.
During e-learning, students are allowed time to meet with their teacher in a one-on-one setting. Mrs. Kent is making the most out of her time with her kindergarten students who are beginning to learn how to read. In the one-on-one scenario, struggling students are allotted time to meet with their teacher and ask questions. Students who feel as though they would benefit more from meeting in person with their teacher can also schedule a time to come into the school and talk with their instructor.
We're here with second grade teacher Mrs. Johnson. Mrs. Johnson, what do you do here at North School?
Well, I'm in the classroom with 21 students. Obviously, we're not in the classroom right now, but we are working really hard online for remote learning.
And you've been doing a lot of Google Meets, correct?
Yes.
Can you please explain what you do during those Google Meets and how you utilize that time with your students?
Well, I have given the families two options. I give them a morning time at 11 and then an evening time at 6 so they can work it into their schedule. So it depends, it varies how many students I have on, but we get online. I usually am here or at home in front of the computer. And last week we had a lot of fun. We played several games. I used sight words. We flipped through them really fast, and we see if we can get faster. So that was one little challenge. The kids liked it and they enjoyed it. They really think it's funny when my screen freezes. That happened at home. They're saying, "Mrs. Johnson, we can't see the words." Well, I was frozen. They thought that was funny. And then we played a word game. Now this is a reimagined letter game. So we played Spaceman. So I would have everyone mute. They know the symbols. I would have everyone mute, and I would call on them and ask for a letter. So if they got the right letter, would you give me a letter?
A.
A. Yay, our spaceman's still here. If we get a letter wrong, I started taking parts away. So if we lost all of our spaceman, we didn't win. This one was pretty simple. We got it on the first try. So then the second game, I put up a new word and a new challenge, and we had to make the spaceman come back. So it was just a lot of fun and getting to know each other and talking together. And I always give them a chance to ask questions at the end.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's really awesome that you're able to teach your kids that way. I know I would learn really greatly from that when I was a young student.
One thing I found too, that sometimes when our Google Meet is over, within like 30 minutes or 40 minutes, they still want to stay on. So I had a student ask, "Can I read you a story?" And I had 6 students on at the time, and I said, yes. I held up my end call sign, and I said, "Any students that want to end the call now, go ahead. If you want to stay on and listen to a story, the student is going to read to us." And I had 2 leave, 4 stayed. By the end of it, I had heard 4 stories. So the kids want to be on with us, and so it's a lot of fun.
That's amazing, and it's so nice to know, the students want to be involved, and they want to, get to know each other and get to know their teachers, and to really, they just love to learn.
Yes, and it gave me a really good opportunity to hear them read, and so I could kind of pay attention. Are they reading where they need to be reading at 2nd grade level? So that was helpful as well.
Well, that's really amazing that you're able to teach your kids that way. Obviously, they're learning a lot.
Yeah, and from, this month or more that we've been on online learning, what are some things you're gradually learning as we're going on with how to interact with your students through Google Meet and how to keep their attention?
The attention has been there. It's been really good. Sometimes we run into a little trouble if they try to take their device and move around. So we just ask that, "Oh, I need you to sit down or find a quiet spot," because sometimes we get too much background noises. Or if they're outside, that can be difficult for us to hear because they're moving and you see their little camera kind of going with you. So we just really are kind of focusing right now on like our Google rules. We have to mute, we have to sit quietly. So that's a new one.
There's some really great ways that you're trying to help your students through this whole thing. Is there anything that you want to share with us that we didn't really touch on?
There's lots to learn, and just keep with us because we are figuring out new things and we're doing new things daily. And we love having the kids. We love having them online. We love the responses. So just keep it up. You guys are all doing a really good job, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, and the teachers are working really hard during this time as well, trying to figure out new things. And the kids are learning, the teachers are learning just as much.
I feel the same way. I had a parent text me and asked a few questions, and they said, "We're trying to figure it out." And I said, "I'm trying to figure it out too. We're all doing a great job."
My name is Mrs. Taylor Henley, and I teach music. Hi, my name is Mr. Champley, and I teach PE.
And I'm Mrs. Bomey, and I teach art.
So you guys have some interesting subjects to teach here. What's some things that you find to be struggling during these times?
Well, it is very difficult to adapt lessons that are meant to be done with actions, with groups of people. All of our lessons are very physical, either doing something or working together, and that's hard when you're by yourself in front of a computer in your room. So trying to find ways to make it so the kids can interact with you through the computer, but not in the same room with you.
I think overall it's just hard to have what they need at home, because sometimes you got to think of an activity of, throwing a ball or catching or something. Well, you got to think they might not have that at home, so you got to be kind of on the fly as it is. And I use sock balls or paper plates for a disc or whatever you have at home, really. It's just whatever you find.
And for art, we can only use the basic school supplies that most kids would have when they signed up for school. So I would really like to do clay or painting or stuff like that, but most kids don't have that, so we're kind of limited.
Well, it's great that you guys are working through all these struggles, though, and trying to find improvisations for these.
Yes. Yeah.
And also, PE and music are something that, you usually do as a group. And art, you usually, feed off of each other, like, oh, that looks great, maybe add something like that. And you may not have that right now. So what are some ways you're still collaborating with your students?
I'm asking for students to send a recording of themselves singing when they're done. It's been really great. This is different from the spring. I didn't get to hear any feedback from the kids, so it's been really great this time around through our Seesaw app that I can hear the kids record. They can record and send me what they've been working on, so I can actually give them feedback based on their actual performance than me just guessing and hoping that they're doing the assignments.
So I've actually made it kind of a competition. So I post a video of me doing an activity of a minute of shooting a basket or kicking a goal or something, and I challenge the kids to beat me. So it gives the kids kind of an incentive, like, oh, I can beat the PE teacher at something. So it's just one of those things, and they get super excited when they post.
And I'm doing the same with having the kids send pictures of their work, not videos, but just actual pictures. In North School, we do it with Seesaw, and in Memorial, they can do it with Google. And then I give them feedback on their art project. Fun thing that we're doing this week is each of the kids are coloring in rainbows, and they're going to put them on the front window of their house around the town of Taylorville. So in theory, we could have 800 rainbows around Taylorville. So I'm hoping to see that. So be looking for those around town.
That's so awesome that you guys are, still collaborating with your students and finding ways to keep them engaged and keep them excited about, these special classes that they're taking.
Yeah, that's really awesome that you guys are still doing all these things. So obviously the students are learning. What are you guys learning through this process?
Video editing is awful. Because if you make a mistake, I just just freak out for a second, and then stop and then start again, and it's just, it's an ordeal.
I'm sure there are some great blooper reels from my videos where I just stop and stare off and have to go back and redo. So definitely some editing skills and some different computer programs that I never would have thought I'd have to use as a music teacher, but here we are. So.
Yeah, it's the technology. It's a challenge, and sometimes, like, my videos will be 12 minutes long in total, but it took me 2 hours to make. So that is the challenge. That has been it.
Yeah, well, I understand you guys. Technology can be great sometimes, but other times it can be a struggle.
And through this online learning process, you found, I'm sure, some pros to it as well as cons. But what are some things that you found that you think you may carry on after we come back to school?
I really love the individual responses I'm getting from kids when they're all here in a group. It's hard to be able to hear them individually, and now that I'm getting responses back from single kids, I can hear exactly how they're doing and be more individualized with my responses that I give versus when I'm trying to deal with 25 of them at the same time. So that is a nice aspect that I hope to carry on.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, after hearing each kid respond, oh, I really like that, or I was having a little trouble with it, I can personalize what comfort I can, or be super excited for them at the same time, trying to help them along. So it's been awesome, and I plan to use that all the time.
And I'm using a lot of the document camera that really zooms in on my hands and the work up close. When you've got a whole group of 25 kids all trying to gather around, it's hard for them to see. And even with the projector and all, it's they get to see my work up close, and I get to see their work up close, so that kind of works out.
Yeah, these are awesome things that you guys are learning during this time, and thank you guys very much for your time today.
I'm Carrie Mateer.
I'm Courtney Hazelhorst.
Alyssa Wolf.
I'm Molly Lively.
Dawn Reiser.
Susan Dietz.
So with this online learning, I know there are a lot of struggles and a lot of things that you're trying to figure out through this time, but what are some things that are really working for you and your students?
We've had a lot of positive support the past week from parents complimenting the setup of the remote learning website and our packets that are going out.
I think the use of the Seesaw platform is really making remote learning fun for the children.
That's great. Can you please elaborate on what that program is?
Sure. It's a way that parents and educators can keep in contact with each other, share morning announcements, push out assignments, make comments to the children, and encouraging remarks.
Well, that's awesome that you guys have that kind of program here. So with this online learning, what's some things that you guys are learning and what's some positive things coming from this?
I'll speak from a parent perspective and a teacher perspective. I know that my girls have been able to get familiar with the Seesaw app and have been able to do some of the work on their own, and they're proud of themselves. They feel it's an accomplishment.
And like with our students, so much of it is hands-on in first grade and at an elementary level. So with Seesaw, we've been able to create lessons that have like manipulatives that they can interact with.
So as the kids are learning about the Seesaw program, then you're also learning to see what works best for your students, especially at this young of age, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you guys are able to do those programs and have that to get to your kids with.
Is there anything else that you're learning through this time that you didn't think that you would ever be doing in your teaching career? Because I know it's a lot different from anything you signed up for.
I think we're learning something new every single day, and it's been a challenge for us, and a challenge for us as teachers, as parents, as just all around, that every single day we're learning something new and trying out new things that we've never done before. Kind of expanding our professionalism too.
Mm-hmm.
And like you guys were saying earlier, you have gotten a lot of positive feedback from parents and everything. So what's your guys' take on how e-learning is going for all of you?
I think it's gradually, from where we started to where we are now, I really like the progress that we've made.
And as a department, do you think you've gotten closer with how to collaborate on things and how to really organize everything out to get the same information out to your kids?
Yes.
Yeah, and we have a very strong team of educators here. We work very well together.
That's great.
Now, that's great to hear, guys. Is there anything else that we didn't ask you guys want to share with us?
No, people just need to give each other a lot of grace and patience through this time, and we'll get through it together.
We're here in the cafeteria with Nurse Susie.
Obviously, through COVID-19, your job as a nurse has really changed. What are some things that you've had to do differently during this time?
Well, obviously with no students in the building, I'm not having a lot of scrapes and bellyaches and those sorts of things. So my role has kind of shifted. I'm spending a lot of time getting health paperwork back in. And my main role right now is working with the other 3 nurses in the district to kind of coordinate the COVID response in the district and kind of keep track of contact tracing and keep our staff up to date on those protocols and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm sure every day things are always changing, especially with the health safety department putting out new information every day.
Yeah, we stay in touch with the health department here. We have a direct line to them, and we're in on webinars, weekly and stuff, just trying to get the latest information.
So, what are some things that you've had to do through this whole COVID-19 thing as a nurse? What have you had to do as of coming into the building and all those things?
Sure. Well, we're excited that we're getting students back in the building slowly and on a one-on-one basis. But it's still important to make sure they're healthy when they come in, to limit exposure. So we do screen those students. There's time to just ask that their parents keep in mind any sort of symptoms that they may have, even if it's just like allergies or something that they make us aware, and then we can make a determination if they're healthy enough to come into the building.
Yeah, and as we start doing the one-on-one with the teacher and student coming into the building, we really are relying on our nurses, to keep track of who's healthy and who's not, and to really keep us all safe. So we thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Is there anything else that you want to share with us today?
Just even though we don't have our students in the building with us, we're still thinking of them, and we're, wanting them to stay healthy. So,
tips, washing their hands and staying healthy that way.
Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thank you.
You're watching Tommy TV.